Hello, good evening. This is Charlene Davids. Welcome to Queen Talk, my little talk chat session here. I just want to quickly check if the feed is coming through nicely on my Facebook. It normally takes a few seconds for it to connect, but I'm excited to share something tonight with my audience. So if you are watching, maybe you are scrolling and you don't know what to do, well, then I want to encourage you to pause. All right, there we are. So to pause and to maybe just share with us tonight as well what your thoughts are on what we are going to be talking about tonight. So tonight's conversation is going to touch on something that is very crucial and that affects every area of our lives, especially us as women, and that is communication skills and people skills. Wow, those are two big words, eh? And it is crucial that we learn basics and grow in basics and that we cement ourselves in those two crucial skills in life. So, if you are new, then I just want to tell you a little bit about what Queen Talk is. So, Queen Talk is the name of this program, and I come online maybe once a week, maybe once every second week, and we just talk, regarding either things of faith. I am a Christian, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. So, many times we will come and speak about things that God is opening up in the Word, or just share the love of Jesus on the airwaves and the reality of Christ and the power of Jesus. And other times we will come and just basically empower and speak a little bit about things such as communication skills, people skills, leadership skills, financial things that women need to know, relationship matters. So all those things that help to equip and empower us as women. So let me know in the chat where you are watching from and which part of the country or which part of the world you may be watching from. And also, if you can see me clearly and hear me clearly, I just want to make sure with my technical team that everything is in order. Technical team, is everything in order? You see, I don't know why Hilton doesn't come and speak. Hilton, the audience wants to see you. You have to come and say hi. Hilton is always behind the camera. And I've been saying to him, Hilton's my husband, for those of you who might not know, I've been saying to him, Hilton, you have to come on camera with me. It's been a very long time since you have done one or two lives with me. And I actually look at some of my Facebook posts and I'm like, wow, these posts, wherever he is with me, he gets more likes and interactions. And so that is great. So if you want to hear from Hilton and myself, then please put that in the chat so I can actually show him afterwards and say, see, the people want you. So yes, I'm based here in Gauteng, and gosh, it is getting colder here now. Hey, it feels like the other day that we had winter, but yet it is already so much darker earlier in the evening and later in the mornings. And as you can see, I had to put a little jacket on tonight, and I'm thinking, where is the summer? I'm still waiting for the summer to arrive, but we are seemingly changing season. But neither here nor there, let's get into it tonight. I want to share a few thoughts with you and I want to encourage your participation. So during the time that we're going to be live, you are so welcome to place a comment, a question, or even give a shout out to someone, or just to, share your experiences, what you might have experienced in this, what I'm going to be sharing, and your words of wisdom as well. We want to hear from you and we want to empower each other with the knowledge that you also have out there on this important topic. So, also, this video will stay on my Facebook for a period of 30 days. And you are also then able to go and watch this, not just on Facebook afterwards, the live will stay there, like I said, but you can also go to my YouTube channel. And that is on the YouTube channel, it is called Charlene Davids, Queen Talk _ Charlene Davids. And that is where we really have put a lot of videos and previous lives where Hilton and myself and me on my own as well did a lot of sessions just on basic things that women need to know. And, a lot of people might think, why do I do this? And I was actually standing in the room earlier and I thought to myself, why do I do this? Because of two reasons. Because I absolutely love this and because I can. So I am enjoying myself here, and let's get into the session. Right. So communication skills and people skills. A large part of our life falls or rises on our ability to be a good communicator, on our ability to develop good people skills. Life is about people. Business is about people. Organizations are about people. And we are not born with people skills. We are not born with communication skills. Those things have to be developed, especially later in our life as well. Many times we leave school, we start studying, or we maybe start working, or we start a business, no matter what timeline of our lives we do that. And then we realize, but whoa, all of a sudden, there is a unique blend of personalities out there. A lot of different generations. We've got generation X, Y, Z. I don't know what else we have. We've got the baby boomers still. We've got the millennials. So there's so many ways and so many filters that people apply when they listen and receive communication, and also when they speak. So it is so important to be clear in our communication, especially in a business setup, with our clients, with our suppliers, but also in most important relationships like our marriages. If we are married, it is so sad to see that many marriages that do end up, unfortunately, in the divorce court, it is irreconcilable differences. And many times that is due to a lack of communication, proper communication where we are vulnerable and really share our heart and not just from our mouths. Also friendships, relationships in our business environment, and then in our work environment, in our households, and just with daily interactions with people. So relationships are built or can potentially be broken through communication or the lack of proper communication. So last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, when we did the previous live, we touched a little bit on relationships. And I really want to encourage you to go to my YouTube and to listen to that session we did on relationships. It was quite good, and it really touched on everything in terms of the type of relationships we have in our lives and how we can strengthen that. So words, okay, I want you to picture words. Words are not just vocal sounds that come out of our mouths, but words is what also makes us different from a lot of, like, if you look at creation, okay, animals can't speak, birds can't speak, fish can't speak, the trees can't speak the way that we speak. We are the crown of creation. God has given us authority. He is, as believers, He's given us dominion as man on the earth. And that means that we have to steward what He has given us in order to do that successfully. And a big part of that is our words. So words are so powerful because words create. They create our future. They can help us go into a good season or into a bad season based on what we speak. And the Bible also tells us that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And something else that is also so crucial is our heart is revealed when we speak. When we are feeling not lekker inside, it comes out through our mouths. When we are feeling joyful, excited, energetic inside, it also comes through our mouths. So it's so important, before you go into a meeting, before you go into a crucial conversation, before you just have a conversation with friends or family or people in your workspace or no matter where, it is important to understand, how am I feeling today? Okay. and to take authority over those feelings and those emotions if it is not positive and if it's not in line with God's word. Because what you are feeling, you will release it via your words. And your words can betray you. It is a trap, it is a snare. So make sure that your mind is renewed upon the word of God and you speak words of life. So no matter how talented we are, no matter how much intellectual capacity we have, no matter how educated we might be, no matter how spiritually grounded we even are, if we are not able to communicate and articulate well, it can lead to certain doors not opening for us. And I'm saying this because I've also experienced this throughout my life. So it's not just something that I read in a book or thought is something cool to say, but it is something that I can relate to. And if it's something that you can relate to as well tonight, I'd like you just to put your comment or your feedback in the comment section so we can see who our audience is and what your thoughts is on this. Maybe you've experienced this. Maybe you have been the receiver of someone that just lashed words out at you. How did that make you feel? What did you have to do in order to heal from those things? Or maybe you were the giver of those words that was not words of life. And we have all been there. And it's something that we need to focus on daily, right? So now I've come to realize throughout the years as well that, you know what, before business is done, before a client buys into our product or buys into our service, it is about connection. Do they really connect with you? Because people do business with who they connect with best, who they feel safe with, and who they feel that there's an open and honest conversation and that they can trust that person. And trust is also in the way you speak, in the way you listen, and in the way you make the person feel. There is nothing worse than, even if you are getting the product that you want, or you are getting the service that you want, but if you are not feeling like you are being heard, then you are really upset about that. I had a banking career for 25 years up until 2021. And many, many days I would deal with big complaints, and I used to hate it, but I also used to love it because it taught me time after time the exact same thing that I'm sharing with you tonight. It didn't matter if you could solve the problem. Many times, we couldn't solve the problem. We had to give the customer the answer that he or she did not want. But it was in how you spoke. It was in how you made the person feel, that you made them feel like they are warranted of their opinion. It is okay for them to feel like that. And just to really listen without interrupting and without trying just to look good or protect your business, but really just placing you in the other person's shoes and giving them space to express themselves, acknowledging their feelings, acknowledging their frustrations, and then repeating to them what it is that they have said to make sure that there is no misunderstanding. And from there, then together working on a plan of action and really just keeping contact with that person and follow up and feedback. So I think something that also annoys people, I don't know if you've experienced this, is when you are just not getting any feedback on something that you've escalated, on something that you have raised, but you are basically just ignored. Those are the things that get people's backs up against the wall, especially in a business environment or in a work environment. So it is so crucial that we just become aware of that and ensure that we don't let that slip. So communication is not just about words, like I said, it is about how you make people feel. So I want you to put in the chat for me, how have you felt in the past? Let's think about this last week. Whether you've had a conversation with someone in the store, someone at work, someone in your business, someone in your personal life, a friend or a family member. and you've had a conversation with someone, but that conversation maybe made you feel good or bad. What are some of those feelings that you have experienced during this week in those conversations? And then go and see, why did you experience that? So we know that we cannot change people, and we cannot be accountable for other people's actions. We cannot be responsible for their actions and the way they behave. But what we can do is we can be responsible for our own actions, our own behavior, our own thoughts, and our own words. So, my question is also to myself tonight, when someone leaves a conversation with you, how do they feel? Have you ever maybe just asked someone, how did you feel after having this conversation with me? Okay, well, maybe not a customer for the first time, but maybe someone that you really know, and ask them, how do you feel when we speak? Do you feel uplifted? Do you feel respected? Do you feel heard? Do you feel encouraged? Do you feel safe? And then allow them to give honest feedback. And if the feedback is not something positive, then unpack that and see how you can actually make it better. Because collaboration and teamwork and all of those things, we gain that, and we gain cooperation from people when people feel heard, when people feel that their voice and their opinion matters. So the way we speak, our sincerity level is so powerful and is so important. So I'm not even going to touch on body language tonight. There's enough knowledge on body language out there. We know that it is not necessarily what we say that actually gains that connection with people initially, but it is how we come across. It is our body language. It is our level of confidence that we exude. And I'm just thinking quickly of when we go for an interview, or when we go and see a new client and we really want to onboard this client, we want this business. How do we come across? Important how we dress, but not just that. How do we give the person a firm handshake, or is it not a firm handshake? Do we make eye contact, or do we just look down the whole time like this? Do we sit and wait like this awkwardly and wring our hands? Or do we sit with our hands neatly placed on our shoulders without fidgeting on checking our phone just so that we look busy? But you know what? It is in those moments that we need to build up confidence, just to know that as you are there, you are enough. And when you walk into that room to onboard that new client or to go for that interview, you need to walk in with confidence, knowing that you are God's gift to that organization, or you are the answer to what the client is looking for, without being arrogant, still having sincerity and genuineness and transparency, but confidence and boldness. And people can easily see when you are pretending, when you are putting on a show, and when you are performing, or when you are really sincere, when you are genuine, and when you are present. So we do not need to impress people simply to build relationships. We need to really just be sincere and allow people to talk more than what we talk. I know we all love to talk about ourselves, especially women. Yes, I know you might not want to admit that, but secretly we have words that has to come out of our mouths every day, right? Women, we love to talk. We need to talk. And when there is a lot of women in the room, it is fantastic, because then everyone's talk, talk, talk. But we need to be sincere in what we are saying, and we need to listen for what the person is saying and also for what they are not saying. We need to observe the body language. Many times when people are speaking about something and it might strike a chord, maybe it brings back a memory, a hurt, a feeling that they are not wanting to feel at that moment in time, you will see maybe their eyes start to water, or they have this distant look in their eyes, or you will touch on something sensitive, and you can see that they don't want to continue with the conversation, but you know, okay, there is something that is maybe not important to speak about right now, but depending on your relationship with that person, you can maybe revisit that in the future. But it is so important to build trust. People speak to people that they trust, and they speak to people who can exude warmth. And that is why people come and see counselors at many times, because they really just want someone to listen without judging them, without feeling condemned, without feeling stupid, like they've messed up, without feeling like they don't know what to do. And I know a lot of people go to ChatGPT nowadays for when they want counsel on a specific matter. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it up to a certain point. Because what AI cannot do for you when you are in a moment of need and desperation, it can give you words and things to think about and to maybe go and do. But what it cannot do for you is it cannot bring a human connection. It cannot bring warmth. It cannot bring the God factor. Because when we are believers in Jesus, then the God of the universe lives in us. So you have to encounter another human being filled with the Spirit of God to actually encounter God. And we know that God is the almighty, powerful God. He is the great counselor. He is wisdom. He is peace. He is love. And you cannot pick that up just on AI or through a screen. So I want to just urge you, side note, you need someone to speak to. Speak to a real, genuine person that you know and trust, and that can give you God as well. So let's look at sincerity. I want to quickly just stand still by sincerity and give you a few practical points. And then I'm going to share one or two things regarding people skills that you can take with you tonight as well. So sincerity, what does it look like? Number one, it is listening without interrupting. This is something you need to practice, especially women. Many times someone else starts speaking and our mind is already going, I know what you're going to say, and then we try and interject, but it's a bad habit. And it distracts from what the other person wants to say, and it makes them feel not as important, that you are not listening to what I'm saying. So listen without interrupting. Looking someone in the eyes. And if you're wearing dark glasses, sunglasses, please take them off when you are speaking to someone. When you look someone in the eye, you take off your sunshades. Okay, because the eyes are the window to the soul. I don't want to look anywhere else but in your eyes when I'm speaking to you. Use that person's name. Try and remember their name. Follow up that conversation if it is a conversation that requires follow-up. Don't just leave it hanging. Celebrate people's victories. Celebrate their successes. Be happy for them when something great happens to them. And sincerely acknowledge effort. If they've made the effort to come and speak to you about something, it means they trust you. In any sphere of life, business, personal, family, acknowledge the fact that they trust you. Acknowledge them and thank them for opening up. So another thing that is also very important regarding sincerity is there are so many people out there that person could have gone and confided in, but they chose you. Be aware of that. And also know, that God has given answers to that person that is locked up in you. So when you are speaking, remember, it is not just your own words. It is also God speaking through you. Because like I said earlier, we know that God no longer just dwells in the heavenly realm. He is in us. He has made his abode in us. Under the new covenant, God is in us. So when we speak, it is God speaking to someone. When we love someone, when we correct someone, it is God doing that. So it is so important to realize that it is not just your own story every day. And another principle of strong communication is clarity. I think this is something that women struggle with. I used to struggle with this a lot. And I think my career, my background in banking really helped me to structure my thoughts and helped me to structure my words and helped me to think clearly, strategically, and to communicate clearly. Because if you did not communicate clearly, there would be a big problem, because people hear sometimes what they want to hear and not what you are really saying. So clarity is very important in strong communication. And I want to give you an example. Instead of saying, let's say you're approaching someone and you need help with something, but now you don't really know how to ask them for this. So it's in a work setup, right? So you would maybe go in and you'd say, excuse me, I don't know, maybe if you're not too busy, do you mind helping me? But not really so crucial, only if you're not busy and only if you can. How does that sound? That sounds pathetic. Do you think they are really going to help you? Maybe, but even if they do, it's not going to be powerful. Rather say something like, I need help with this. So this statement of I need help with this is much more clearer. It is concise, and you are saying what your need is. You are not, talking around it, but you are direct and you are concise and you are clear. So clarity is not aggression. Clarity is maturity. And your tone of voice is so important. It is actually much more important than the actual words, what you are saying. Everything is about tone. Everything is about the emphasis that you place on words. Have you looked at, if you take a certain sentence and if you place emphasis on different words in that sentence, it changes the actual sentence. It changes the message and the way that you want to bring that message across. So also when we are speaking to people, we never speak down towards any person, no matter what they look like, where they come from, what their background is, what their social status is. We are speaking to another human being, and we're speaking to them the way that we want to be spoken to. So practically, what does it look like? Let's slow down when we speak. Let's lower our voice slightly. And let's breathe before responding. Never to react, but to respond. And in order for us to respond, we need to pause. And the response is not always required immediately. You can say to the person, you know what? Let's revisit this conversation when we are in a better space. So do not add fuel to the flame if it's already a heated conversation or if you are already in an emotional state. Remove yourself from conversations that can get heated if you are not feeling capable of handling that there and then. And I'm speaking specifically here relating to personal relationships. I know in a work or in a business scenario, it's difficult. You can't always just excuse yourself out of the boardroom, but there are ways that you can manage yourself in order to look good and not freak out in front of everyone, because that will be the end of many things, okay? So confidence sounds calm. And people skills are emotional intelligence in action. One of the greatest things that we need to develop as people, and especially as leaders in our businesses, in our houses, in our environments, whatever organizations we are involved in, is emotional intelligence. What was I saying? Intelligence. Emotional intelligence. being aware of how we are feeling, because that feeling is going to be released through our words. Making sure that our minds and our emotions are in sync, so that when we speak, it is with clarity and it is with accuracy and it is with knowing what the people around us need and speaking to the need. It is your ability, also emotional intelligence, right, to read a room. When you walk into a room, can you discern what's happening in the room? Do you know who's in authority in that room? Do you know where to position yourself in that room? Do you know how to work that room if you are, let's say, in a networking environment? Do you know how to connect with the people that can potentially open doors for you? Do you know how to introduce yourself? Do you know what to do? And listen, you're going to laugh now, but this happens. Do you know what to do if you're standing in front of someone and you actually know them, but you've forgotten their name and they expect you to remember their name? Do you know how to handle those situations? Do you know how to introduce another person to the circle that you are standing in when another person comes into your circle? Do you know how to continue the conversation if there is awkward silence instead of speaking about, oh, the weather and the weekend? These are things we need to grow in. These are things we need to develop. These are things we need to practice. And we need to understand those personality differences as well. Some people are very direct, they are fast, and they want you to answer them in a direct and fast way. They will get very frustrated if you first and ah and want to go look at this and that. So if you're dealing with a personality that is direct and fast, you need to know that you need to be on their wavelength, especially if they are an authority figure. So it is best to be able to relate to different personality types based on who they are so that they can feel comfortable with you as well. So on the flip side, if you are a leader of a team, you need to know who are the personalities in your team so that you can relate to them according to how they function and how they understand best in order to get the best out of that person, in order to get team cooperation. Because you can't treat everyone necessarily the same in terms of how you speak to them, how you deal with them to get cooperation out of them, so to speak. Some people are more emotional. Some people are more expressive. Like I'm a very expressive person. And I love it when people speak to me who are similar, who are also expressive, who are also over the top at times and loud at times and emotional at times. But then again, I can switch very quickly and I can become very strategic and logical and analytical because I have an ability, I've developed it to understand, okay, who am I speaking to now and how do I need to adjust in order to get the best out of this conversation or in order to seal the deal without being false, without being fake. But it is simply emotional intelligence in action. And it's something we practice and grow in. Some people are logical, reserved, and then some process information slowly. They think about it before they start doing something about it. And they speak carefully and clearly. So strong people skills require flexibility. It requires you to know yourself well, to know your people, and to be flexible and to have that confidence. So you might say to me, but Charlene, I'm not an extrovert. I don't like to speak to people. I'm not a communicator. That's why I have so-and-so doing it. That's fine. You need to be able to surround yourself with people that have strengths where you might have a weakness. But you do not have to be an extrovert in order to be confident. You do not have to be an extrovert to be influential. You need to be a normal human being who know who they are. And that is when you are confident. That is when you believe in the ability that you have. That is when you know that you know what, you have a voice and it is okay to use it. as long as the heart attitude is always right. Eh? So confidence is something that we need to step into. It is something we need to practice, and we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. I was an extremely shy child as I grew up. I did not want to speak to people when I started my schooling career. It was difficult for me to make friends. I didn't go to friends' houses. I didn't have brothers or sisters. I mean, I don't have brothers or sisters. I'm the only child. So it was difficult for me. I remember I cried the day that I went to school. I didn't want to do oral because I didn't want to speak. And then if I look back over my life, there's so many interventions that took place just through work and through people showing up in my life that was placed there strategically by the hand of God to get me out of my comfort zone. Where now it is a thrill for me to be able to speak in front of people. It's something I love. Like even what I'm doing here tonight, I can speak like the whole night. Obviously, I won't do that. But I mean, I just love to talk. And I get energy from being around people. So it is important for us to know where we get our energy from, but also to put ourselves out of our comfort zone and to grow and to stretch ourselves, because life is about growing and developing. And then another thing is when we are speaking, when we're in conversation with people, people skills and communication skills, it is important to stop apologizing unnecessarily, especially as women like to do this. I'm so sorry to bother you. You know what? I just want to quickly ask you, is it okay? No. Make an appointment, tell the person what the meeting is about. When they grant you the appointment, you go and speak to them. If it's important, don't apologize. There's nothing to be sorry about. Why are you sorry? You didn't break anything. You didn't break a vase. You are there to gain insight, information, so that you can either do your job better or grow into a stronger version of yourself or make the team come together. It is important that you do not apologize for ever using your voice for the right reasons. Stop over explaining. When you say no to something, you do not need to over explain. You can simply put a full stop after the word no. It's not being arrogant or rude. Not every no requires an explanation. And then separate your emotion from the delivery of your content. Because words shape an atmosphere. It brings an atmosphere based on the emotion that you carry, because that word is loaded with emotion. So relationships require maintenance. If relationships are important to you, it is important that you maintain those relationships. It is important to be aware of what are the destiny relationships that is in your life that God has placed there. To be sensitive to what those relationships carry and to pursue those relationships. And to surround yourself with the right people. It is not about how many friends you have, how many people know you. It is about the quality of your relationships and what do they feed into your life. How can they challenge you? How can they stretch you? How can they grow you to the next level? And it is always good to not be the smartest person in the room, because guess what? You're not going to learn anything. So as we end tonight, I want to give you a few last principles on people skills. And it's 1, 2, 3, yeah, it's about 5. So you can re-listen to this broadcast if you might not remember them. But number 1, and these you might recognize, it is a lot of principles that came from Mr. Dale Carnegie. And if you might not know who he is, you can go and Google, ask ChatGPT who is Dale Carnegie, and it will tell you. I was privileged to work for the organization many, many years ago. I think it was early 2000s. I became an instructor for them, and these principles we had to learn off by heart, and we need to teach the classrooms that we taught in these as well. And I'm still so fond of these principles, and I love sharing it with people as well. One of those principles was, and still is, don't criticize, condemn, and complain. People do not want to be around negative Nellies. Okay. So when you are someone who is criticizing, you're complaining, you're condemning everything the whole time, you're negative, people are going to want to run. And you don't want them to run from you. You want the right relationships to be drawn to you. So don't criticize, condemn, and complain. Number 2, give honest and sincere appreciation. People can pick up when you are insincere. And when you are insincere, it will normally feel like you are flattering someone, and it will come through your mouth. It will be simply words through your mouth. But when you are giving someone genuine, sincere, honest appreciation, it comes from your heart. And normally you would be able to back it up with an example. Number 3, become genuinely interested in others. And the key word here is genuinely interested. Show interest in others, not to find out more about them, to see what you can get from them, but so that you can learn about this person. I want to challenge you. Find someone in this week, in the next week, that you want to genuinely get to know better and show an interest in them. Buy them a coffee, take them for coffee, and don't just talk about yourself. Ask them questions. Ask them open-ended questions like, tell me more about yourself. People love to talk about themselves. When you ask them those questions, they start to talk. They don't stop. Tell me about your business. How did your business start? Open-ended questions. Questions that don't just give you a yes or a no, but invites conversation. What is your biggest challenge right now? What is your biggest frustration right now? What is your biggest joy right now? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Then number 4, be a good listener. And how are you a good listener? You encourage the person to talk about themselves. The person on the other end will walk away after that meeting and they will say, I met an amazing person. I learned so much about the person today. We are going to do business or whatever. Meanwhile, they hardly learned about you, but they had airtime to speak. When people have opportunity to speak, they feel like they are being heard. They feel like they are validated, and they feel like they instantly are drawn to you. And it's important to make people feel good. Then talk in terms of the other person's interest. Now that you know what this person has shared with you regarding what their passions is, what their dreams, the desires, their goals, their business, whatever, you know them a little bit now, talk in terms of those interests. They didn't just share that information with you to get their words out. It is sort of expected that you now take that words that went out there and build on it, because the conversation at this point in time is about them and not you. And then lastly, a person's name is the sweetest sound to them. So when you are speaking to someone, be sure to use their name in the conversation. It just makes them feel important, it gains cooperation, and it says that you are a good listener and that you are a person who is good at people skills and communication skills. And life is all about connection with people, doing business with people, doing life with people, growing and learning from each other. And I trust that in these next few days that you will really apply some of this and that you'll be able to see a change in your people skills and in your communication skills. So I trust that you have enjoyed tonight's session. Remember, these sessions is also on my YouTube channel, and that is called Queen Talk _Charlene Davids. You can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, see what videos are on there, see what lives are on there. You can still go and like, you can still go and comment, you can still go and share. And there's content on here that will really bless you, not just of an empowerment point of view, but also of a Christian word-based point of view in terms of just sharing about Jesus and whatever, we can learn from each other. So thank you for joining me tonight. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you again in the near future. Bye.